So apparently, more and more Americans are deciding to get second passports so they don't have to stay in the United States.
I mean, we are people who don't stay in the United States, and I would prefer to have a second passport, not just so that we can get into other countries, but also so that, there's always a backup.
And you don't have to pay American taxes anymore, or do you still have to pay them if you have?
I think you're only exempted from that is if you're paying another country's tax.
Just claim that we are.
Yeah, tax fraud.
Oh, let's check this out. It's very interesting. I mean, we've heard, especially over these past two Trump administrations, Americans wanting to move to Canada, move to Europe, move to Australia. But of course, that's a lot harder to do than a lot of people think. Moving to another country, especially moving there as a resident,
Yeah.
it seems like it's super hard, especially if you're not a doctor, an engineer, something like that.
Especially if more people are going to be flooding to these places, it's going to be even harder.
Yeah, but let's check this out. Here we go.
Rising prices, intense demands at work, and even school shootings have many Americans believing that life in another country would be better.
I mean, that's like one thing you think, I'm going to have a kid, whatever, in the future. Do you want your kid to go to American school where there's a school shooting every single day?
I mean, I know that's how she says it 'cause she's a reporter, but she says it so matter of fact, as if it's not like absurd things she just mentioned that are like the most reasonable reasons to want to get out of a country.
It's insane.
Having a second or even first home in the south of France, South America, or just north of the border in Canada is not always easy to pull off depending on the country. Having an ancestor or, of course, a large amount of cash on hand, however, can help. Here now is our Maggie Rulli reporting from Italy.
In summer, Florence feels like a living postcard. Sunlight on terracotta rooftops.
Yeah, I've been there.
Church
Beautiful.
bells in the distance.
We made a vlog.
And life
We did. Check it
unfolding
out.
slowly under the Tuscan sun. A growing number of Americans are choosing to make scenes like this permanent, with applications to live abroad at an all-time high.
That would be pretty
We
snazzy.
meet up
It
with
would.
Rob and Kim Murgatroyd, an American family who moved here nearly 5 years ago.
Their terrace view of the historic Florence skyline, so close to the Duomo, feels
That's just
very
where they
different from their
moved?
old house in Los Angeles.
Probably helps that they're mad rich, it seems like.
They-
My gosh.
They're from Los Angeles and they're able to move to a iconic viewpoint in Florence, Italy. Yeah, they got the cheddar.
I'm sorry, can we just talk about your life here
No,
for a
it's really
second?
crazy.
Because
Yeah.
I'm pinching myself. This is actually where you guys
Yeah.
eat breakfast. I mean,
Yeah. This is it.
In 2025, the U.S. saw more people move out of the country than since the Great Depression. In 2024,
Wow.
requests for a foreign passport jumped by 48%.
I've been trying to get Italian citizenship for almost 20 years. I love Italy. I like the idea of being a citizen there, and we'll see what I like to do.
Celebrities are jumping on the trend. Names like Ellen DeGeneres, Minnie Driver, America Ferrera are all finding
So all the celebrities and the rich people are just abandoning ship, and all us normal people are stuck.
The people they're using and abusing.
You know,
new homes overseas.
And mostly what I like to do is bring my passport to parties and show it to people and make them jealous.
Late night host Jimmy Kimmel may be making headlines for it, but for most Americans, getting a second passport is far less glamorous. There are several ways to move abroad. Depending on what route you take, the process can involve a lot of time, money, and patience.
That's
Rob and
true.
Kim are on an elective residency visa, which allows them to live in Italy long-term without working, provided they have stable, passive income from sources outside Italy, like pensions or investments. But the Golden Visa also allows a path to residency. It requires a
mad
significant
rich.
financial investment, which can include
There you
real
go.
estate or government-backed funds. For the countries that accept these visas, the price can range anywhere from $13,000 in Canada to nearly $10 million in Singapore.
10
do
million?
Absolutely, my
Wow.
pleasure.
Michele Capeke is the Italian lawyer who Rob and Kim say was instrumental in making their dream
If you have
possible.
$10 million, do you really want to move to Singapore?
Yeah, like
I mean-
it's a nice city, but
It's just a city.
wouldn't you want like a nice like more
this?
quiet neighborhood. Yeah, like a quiet place.
$10 million, you could, I would assume, buy a very nice hilltop villa in Tuscany.
Yeah.
Why would you want to go to Singapore? And maybe that's the reason, because people would be like, hey, I'm not going to Singapore for $10 million.
Could you just describe to me what was your life like in America?
It was work, 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 and it was getting up early, and there was an unrest that was in me that was brewing, and so I found myself with the house and the cars and the degree, and then going, but I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Before moving to Italy, Rob was a chiropractor, moving with his wife, Kim, and their 5-year-old daughter from New York to Los Angeles during the pandemic. But right before the cross-country move, Rob promised Kim their family could spend a summer in Italy. The trip...
It always happens to the Americans. If they, just take a little, dip their toes in the water in another country, they're all of a sudden like, oh, the U.S. is not quite what it seems anymore now that I visited one other place in the whole world.
And if they spent the summer in Italy, I feel like that's enough time for them to be like, wow, I've spent enough time here, living here. This is much better.
You don't just get like the tourist bliss kind of clouding your mind.
You don't get like going to the super busy, like overly busy tourist spots. And some people, when they go there, they're like, oh, this is too busy. And they eat the tourist food that's not the authentic stuff. That's crazy.
turned out to be life-changing.
So when we went back, Rob dropped right back into that rat race. And I said, you know what? I like you better in Italy. And you're just a different person there.
At that time, we didn't plan on living here. We planned on living in the States. I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but, I've got a kindergartner that is preparing for a shooter. I wanted to be in a place where I felt that I didn't have to worry about
Sending my child to
sending my
church
daughter
or
to school to go through a metal detector. I didn't want to do that.
And that's what led us to call Michele to say, get us back here as fast as possible.
While on visas, Rob and Kim are waiting to hopefully get a passport, but that path to citizenship can be complicated. For the average American, resident by investment is not an option. And there are cheaper alternatives. Americans could be eligible for dual citizenship by ancestry, with countries like Spain, Germany, Ireland, and Italy having the strongest claims. But recently, countries like Italy have started tightening restrictions on ancestral claims. And now passport hopefuls must prove that a grandparent or parent has citizenship.
We had to go back a bit further.
That's closer.
That's not good.
Yeah, because our families have been in the U.S. too long for that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe our shared grandma's side was like great grandparents from Germany.
Yeah.
That's like the closest we're getting.
That's pretty far.
Strongest claims. But recently, countries like Italy have started tightening restrictions on ancestral claims. And now passport hopefuls must prove that a grandparent or parent has citizenship.
We had to go back a bit
Dynamic.
further to sort of the great-grandparent level.
For Emily Grossi and her family, who live just outside D.C. in Maryland, what started as a fun side project to reconnect with their Italian heritage during the pandemic turned into a very real plan
To move abroad.
It sounds like you've always had this desire to live abroad and to experience life abroad, but why the extra urgency now?
Guns have come online in America in such a hideous way. And, the number of lockdowns my kids have endured, the number of active shooter drills, and actually of shooters near and in their schools. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, that's a crazy thing, too. We got out of school before, like, there was stuff that happened still during the time we were in school, but it wasn't like widespread as much to where we were doing drills and stuff in school.
Might have had a lockdown drill every once in a while.
We did lockdown drills, and then there was like, we had lights that were specifically for those things and not just like fires, but shooter drills is crazy.
That's not a thing in other countries. That's a specifically America thing. And that should make you proud. America
Proud to be
number
American.
one.
That is appalling to me. I'm tired of having to worry about are my kids going to come home from school? And I just think there's a different way of maybe doing things that would feel more in line with my own values.
And do you think you'll find
That
that
happens
abroad?
it's not like it just happens in high school too. It happens in elementary schools in the United States. Elementary, this is like kids under 10 years old.
Yeah, they did nothing wrong.
It's insane.
Odd.
At what point is something going to change? But we actually know the answer. It's never, because the NRA exists and the Republican Party exists.
They're just funneling money in.
It's too much money going around for them to bother changing anything.
Do you think the grass is really greener?
Certainly I am an idealistic person, but I'm also very rational and pragmatic. So I do think things like nationalized health services, different tax structures, different community values, I think it's worth a try. I know many people abroad, and you give something up, there's always
That's the most American thing ever. Nationalized healthcare, as if almost every other country in the entire world doesn't use that type of system. And it's been successful, more successful than the United States.
And the sad thing being too is that there's no hope for actually changing it through the country you live in and, voting for officials that believe in that. So instead you just have to leave the country and find a country that does do it.
But there's the American mindset right there. We'll give it a try. It hasn't been tried or tested until an American does it.
Yeah, American defaultism.
the cost, but I think the rewards could be tremendous.
McKelly has worked on a lot of these cases and tells us he's noticed a large increase of American clients looking to come to Italy.
Recently, have you had more Americans coming to you for help to move here?
Yeah, probably yes.
Yeah.
This is still a country where you can find a balance between being successful, business-wise, having good relationship with friends.
This balance has allowed Rob to go from being a chiropractor to using social media to encourage other Americans to experience Italy's La Dolce Vita, or the sweet life. But Rob and Kim say they've never been happier. There are some parts of America they miss.
So I'm curious,
Yeah.
living abroad, is there anything you now actually appreciate more about America, being a little removed?
Here's what I appreciate. In America, we believe culturally that anything is possible. And often in Italy, when you ask for something to be done, the first thing is impossible.
No, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
No, it's impossible.
It's impossible. No, it's impossible.
When an American says no problem, it's no problem. When an Italian says no problem, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Right.
Chin chin.
Chin chin.
But living here is anything but a problem for their family. They have fully embraced La Dolce Vita. And with these views, who wouldn't?
Get good old Florence.
I mean, what do you expect? The American government is actively taking away the few things that Americans actually have, and all of the money the normal middle class, lower class people have is just being siphoned straight up to the richest people in the country.
Also, they started a war that the general population does not support.
Deporting people that have lived in the country for over 20 years. Hardworking Americans, like they always claim is what the country wants. Round them up, send them to jail, deport them.
And sometimes maybe just kill them.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. And we have police and federal agencies murdering people in the street.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a country you'd want to live in, really.
No. But thanks for watching, everybody. Very interesting video here. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.
Where do you want us to live? We'll pick whatever country gets the most likes in the comments below.
Heck yeah. See you in the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.